Blackrock is starting to buy into the dip and the market. Today, we'll break it all down for you. We're going to have a whole slew of trading and charts for you, so don't miss it. Let's just jump right in. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem, because today this is a big issue, and that is self-custody. And also, if you're trading out there, maybe it's time to move into DeFi, where you can actually do your trades and swaps over on Tangem. All you have to do is use our link down below. It's going to get you a little bit of a discount. One wallet, three big game changers. They have now multi-accounts, which are all in one, so you can separate your portfolios the way you want. They also are going to operate with some new market insights, kind of a news feed. And then they've got this new smart gas payments. This is really cool because as you know, sometimes you're low on certain tokens when you're trying to make a swap or an exchange. Now you don't have to worry about that because there's no more scrambling. You can just pay right off of your stable coins that are in there, where you can be earning yields on that as well, just by putting that into yield mode, and off you go. So use Tangem. It's the best one out there, guys, for sure. And you know, when things are happening like this right here, remember Coinbase had a little bit of an outage yesterday, so you couldn't sell, buy, or transfer crypto. And of course, Tangem had some fun with that. Everybody couldn't do it. So, and I can attest to that. It was down for a little bit. Let me know what you guys yielded around Coinbase. Were you in that same boat where you could not move stuff? Kind of curious. Joining me today is going to be Mr. Tim Warren. You guys know Tim Warren, coming in from the Tim Warren Trades channel. You can catch him over on YouTube. Very easy to do that. Of course, if you're not subscribed, you should be. So Tim, how are you, man?
Doing good. Catching a little bit of a bid here even today. Got a good breakout of a falling wedge. I think we're going to discuss that later on.
Yep.
But you know what? In the world of trading, I don't know if I said this last time on your show. I told our audience there's two Tims. There's Crypto Tim, there's Trading Tim. Crypto Tim still has a ways to go before he's feeling good about the markets. Trading Tim loves it. You can always make money, and so we're finding ways over here.
Well, that is a key thing. Volatility is the number one way that traders can make money. And in fact, I think when you look at volatility, some of the volatility tends to push right now what's happening with the government shutdown. Right now, DHS shut down all but certain after this failed Senate vote, so that's likely going to happen. Then if you look at Kalshi, right now, the shutdown tomorrow looks pretty solid right now at almost 95%. So we are looking very heated. Now, the question is how long will this last? That, of course, slows down the potential of getting the Clarity Act through. And if you look at the Clarity Act and also remember the instability of where tariffs are going, now we've got a new date from the Supreme Court saying they're going to try to review this again around February 20th. Next possible date, I imagine that's going to get pushed again. This is one of the things that's kind of creating a little bit of turmoil in the markets in general. I want to jump to a clip real quick because this is Patrick Witt, who is pretty much the lead on digital assets for the president underneath David Sachs. And he's talking about the clarity between the yield fight that's happening right now. Take a look.
In the spirit of compromise, Patrick, do you think the crypto industry just has to get off this view that it's going to be able to pay rewards on stable coins? Does that get it through?
Again, as I said, there's a way to address this that doesn't disrupt a lot of the business models in the space and also addresses the bank concerns. So this is a major item. It's not the only one. There's still some issues on Title I with tokenization, the token taxonomy, and the authorities between the SEC and the CFTC, making sure that the SEC isn't swallowing too much of the CFTC's jurisdiction. And then on Title III with DeFi, illicit finance. So there are other issues that we need to work through, but this is a main sticking item, and we're not going to be able to get this out of the banking committee unless we address this issue.
All right, so you can tell this seems to be a little bit skeptical right there. Where are you on this right now on getting the clarity through? Percentage-wise, we get it passed.
I love the political answer. What's happening here? Well, there's a lot of things that can happen, but let me change the subject and talk about something completely different. You know, we have a working theory in our community, Paul. I don't know where you are with this. You know, my business partner, Taylor Shrum, he said he's been listening to a lot of podcasts, and the reality is the language in the bill isn't actually what a lot of people think it is. It's actually not that bad for Coinbase. What we actually might be having going on right now, this is conspiracy theory, Tim, coming out there. So everyone put their tinfoil hats on. But in this day and age, I feel like conspiracy theories are more likely to be true than ever before.
Okay.
I think they already know, Paul. I think they might actually already know what this build is going to look like. They know the language. We are watching a dance and pony show because the price isn't where they want it to be for us to finally take off into a bull run. So this is just a charade going on because the market makers haven't gotten the price exactly where they want it yet. They need some excuses, and we all know retail gets shook around like a rag doll with these stories. And so right now we're riding a little bit of a wave of semi-bullishness with Bitcoin kind of jumping back up here today. Watch them as soon as we get any momentum, start to dash that hope with this story. The reality is I think they're just faking us out here, Paul. I think that they know what they want to do. I think that this is just a hang on for the ride. It's a bucking bronco. We're going to bottom sooner than later. We're closer to the bottom than the top, but when, how low, that's the big question, and that's the game.
Well, I think, we're going to talk about what that might look like, especially on Bitcoin and ETH. The Senate Banking Committee says it's working together. Back to your point is that they continue to put out a lot of narratives coming out of DC.
Yeah.
I don't recall something that has been this vocal from DC. So maybe you're onto something here. I mean, they are constantly genning news and leaks galore. We're seeing leaks coming out left and right. I have people that are now texting me. I think they're trying to get stuff onto the show. I'm asking source, can you tell me who you heard that from? It's just, I can't reveal my sources kind of thing. So very interesting time for sure. And remember, you look at not only back to your point of where the market has kind of been recovering from, it all goes back to that 1010 event. This was Novogratz actually coming out and saying it out loud again, and that was blaming Binance. Remember, Cathie Wood started that, and then now you got Novogratz jumping in there right there. I think Binance screwed it up, but maybe we're still seeing some pain here. Hey, I'm looking at your tweet right here. Here we go, Bitcoin.
There we go.
Breaking out of the falling wedge. This is where the price target should be, or upside should be. My question, what do you like about Bitcoin right now? Is this still holding for you on your chart, or are you looking for a big trend down?
Yeah, if you go to my screen here, we can talk about what's going on here. Our community was able to catch a bid here this morning, re-enter. We actually yesterday traded the long from down here at this support level at 65,000. We traded that up. We took profit this morning at the resistance level at 67, but we said, hey, if we can get a high volume breakout on some lower time frames. Take a look at that right there, Paul. Some volume came in as we broke the red line. We're not all the way up. We did hit our first level of take profit, but the target we have here, I kind of gave a test to technical analysis people out there. How high should this go? And the reality is when you look at these formations, it's called a falling wedge pattern. The green line is the support. The red line is the resistance. It's converging. Take the opening width, the opening volatility of this formation, move it over to the breakout, and you should have a rough target here. Look at that. Coincidentally, right back up to the top, just beneath $72,000 is the target that I'm watching for this breakout to the upside. Could it keep going? It absolutely could. I would be very surprised, and we can talk more about this, but I'll just make sure people know this. I would be surprised if Bitcoin at this point gets above 80K. And anyone who's an Elliott Wave theory guy out there, I'm not an Elliott Wave expert, but there is a guy in our community that's been kind of evaluating this. We very well might be watching the beginning of wave 4. We had wave 1 here dramatically from 126 down to 80K. I know it feels like that took forever, but it didn't take as long as you think. Then we kind of bounced back up to 97. Now we've dropped down to 60. As long as we stay below 80K, this could be wave 4. The minute we get above there, all of a sudden, you could say the bottom is in if we break above 80K. But if it doesn't, I think wave 5, if wave 4 ends at 80 or below 80K, wave 5 to me, I'm looking at 53,000 as a very good target for a wave 5.
Well, that was something we've been kind of looking at in terms of the retracement, putting Bitcoin down about 70% off its high, if that in fact does happen. And to your point, this has been happening in a very interesting time range when you look at previous cycles of Bitcoin, especially. What do you think, just looking at this headline right here, do you think ETFs are continuing to help support Bitcoin at this above 60 range, where even though right now they're bleeding another 410 million? Remember, Standard Chartered also continuing to slash their Bitcoin target. What do you think? Does the market address this at all?
Well, I mean, there's inflows, there's outflows. I mean, how many times during this bear trend have we seen, oh, this many millions of dollars just came in, this many billions of dollars just came in? and then it trades right back. ETFs at the end of the day are just another avenue for people to trade Bitcoin. I think people read way too much into it saying, oh, look how many people are buying ETFs today. Well, look how many people bought on Coinbase. Look how many people bought on Binance. It's called trading. You can trade ETFs as well. So you catch these bottoms, you buy the bottoms, you sell the tops. Let's not forget also ETFs are being bought by retail. So they're getting faked out just like every other crypto trading group with every exchange out there. I at this point, Paul, don't look too much into the ETF inflows as being my sign of a bottom or a top. In fact, I'll tell you, when you backtrack it, a lot of times the days you see heavy inflow announcements, so, hey, this many millions of dollars, this many billions of dollars just inflowed, you're probably close to a local top. And then, hey, this many just outflowed, you're probably close to a local bottom.
Okay.
I'm watching more for the macro environment of institutions to really want to start pouring in. When massive whales start buying back like crazy, when institutions officially start dabbling. I know we have seen BlackRock. People go back and forth when BlackRock's buying crypto or not. BlackRock's buying cryptocurrency. Doesn't mean the bottom's in perfectly, but that does mean I think the bottom is close. Those are the headlines that interest me more than ETF inflows or outflows.
I like it. Well, and I think to your point, right now we are in a very unusual situation because of the volatility index that's been continuing to climb. And you look at the continuation of what we're seeing, and I just saw Trump and Truth Social now filing for an ETF on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah. Speaking of Ethereum, now let's take a look at ETH. You look at this, of course, has been struggling around the 2K level. I don't know. I'm looking for a downtrend here on ETH. Is there an opportunity here for me to get a cheaper Ethereum than where it is today?
Yeah, it might not happen overnight, right? I'm not saying this price is going to happen tonight or tomorrow. Again, right now, like I just told you, we could have that wave for Bitcoin as high as 80K. Ethereum, in theory, you could get all the way back up to 2,600. I don't think we get that high, but as long as we stay below that wick that we had back in November, you're not seeing a sustained bull trend right now. What I would watch is, and I have a green resistance level as well, I'd watch this trend line right in here for Ethereum. Interestingly, somewhere down here around 1,600. There's actually a lot of indicators that say, there's a lot of support indicators saying 1,600, but I'll just stick around with this trend line. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a bounce on Ethereum, maybe get back up towards 2,300. As high as I would expect that one. And then I could easily see a drop down south of 1,700, somewhere between 16 to 1,700 as a mark for Ethereum to actually find a bottom. If we lose that support level right there, it could get very ugly. But for now, I think that level is one to watch for sure.
I'm looking at some very positive news for ETH in general. I want to play a clip for you because this is Tom Lee and Mr. Beast. Take a look.
In 1957, Walt Disney made this map, which showed you how his films are connected to his merch, which is connected to theater sales, which is connected to radio, and everything across his empire.
And I gotta ask Jimmy about how he's making his own version of his Disney map.
Is Mr. Beast launching a bank? Is Mr. Beast launching a bank? Yes, it would be fun to start weaving in more tones in our videos where we educate people, and probably also on a separate YouTube channel, educating people on investing and showing them what is a Roth IRA, and just like taking my younger audience through a similar experience I had with Woody back in the day. It just feels like a nice fit for us because we do so much with money.
Basically, let's say you're a movie studio and you just dropped a movie. If you guys post clips about the trailer of the movie, I'll pay you $1,000 for every 1,000,000 views.
We were aware of this when we made our investment into Beast late last year. Of course, we can't talk about what Beast is going to do. Mr. Beast is the leading creator for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. It's bigger than millennials, so he is basically the next Robinhood, SoFi, Chime combined.
All right, so that was a big statement to me. The next Robinhood, SoFi, and Chime. You've got Blackrock loading up on Bitmine, so it lifts its holding to 9 million shares. Remember, Bitmine put 200 million, in case you guys didn't catch the news, 200 million into Beast Industries, I think it is. That, of course, is the thing that Jimmy was talking about right there, which is creating pretty much a banking model and an investing platform going forward. And then don't forget Cathie Wood also buying into Bitmine. So there's some big moves here on Wall Street, which all support Ethereum. So with this being the narrative, I mean, have you seen so much bullish news and not really the reaction on Ethereum? Does that just simply mean ETH is just riding this bear market like everything else?
So I read the news like this. The news is meant for retail investors. It is not meant for whales and institutions. They have such information to know the right times to buy and sell. News is there to really test retail sentiment. Is there any more, pocket change to shake out effectively? I don't really like trading on news alone that's on hype. If it's news like, hey, X company invests X amount of billions of dollars, that's good news. But just, hey, this is a new company, this company who's known to not buy bottoms buys more, doesn't mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
But what they're doing here, especially using Jimmy from Mr. Beast, and he's right on there. I can't think of a single individual more influential with young people than Mr. Beast. I don't know who else would be out there. But it's another wave of let's test the retail to see where retail's been. This whole bull market, retail's been apathetic. This is the apathetic bull market. It's why there was no altcoin season. It's why Bitcoin's topped out at 126K instead of going much higher. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is actually important. It's a good long-term fundamental, and price is always downstream from fundamentals. So it makes my long-term portfolio very bullish, but it doesn't change my opinion on the short term. And the short term is, there's no retail here right now. Retail will not come in until there's actually a sustained reason to get involved. And unfortunately for retail, they get involved when other people are making money. When the wealthy are investing, making money, that's when they jump back in. Well, that means when will the whales jump in? When will the institutions jump in? When will the billions and trillions of dollars of actual real money come in? I don't think until the Clarity Act passes. I think the Clarity Act pass will hold the key to the next bull run, and all the mess and noise about Mr. Beast and what Bitmine is doing, it's more out there testing the water. Where are we right now with retail? Because if retail gets interested in again, if they start to show genuine interest, that actually gives them a reason to be able to push price even lower. If they stay apathetic, if they prove retail doesn't want to be here whatsoever, that's what's telling the whales and the institutions, you can't drive price that much lower. Retail doesn't even care anymore. Yeah. Now is your time to go all in.
So this is it. Let's take a look at the BMNR chart, because this is kind of the control center, I think, for ETH right now. Obviously, much like if you look at the master chart for Bitcoin.
So this is the Bitmine chart. You're going to see really, really choppy action. This is on the New York Stock Exchange, so things jump around all the time. I wish I had a cleaner chart for you. Overall, though, if you're looking at what's going on here, it's still in a bear trend, but I will admit this is something that's trending in the right direction. You definitely have falling levels of support and resistance, a falling channel. Eventually, let's turn this one red. Let's turn this back to red so we can identify it as resistance. When we get a break above this line, I think it'll be go time. When this move comes back up, it'll be a good look. But for right now, when I'm looking on the daily chart, weekly chart, we're in the early stages. Actually, a good daily buy signal popping in a lot of my indicators right here. But that to me would signal maybe a pop back up to 115 at the most, back up towards resistance. I don't think the party really gets going until Bitmine can break this level of resistance. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about a parabolic move to the upside. But for now, I would tell people, hey, trade it. If you want to trade, there's always a way to make money with trading markets. But if you're thinking long-term buys is the bottom in, I don't know if this chart has yet confirmed that or not.
All right. Okay. So beyond that, and I just want to kind of compare when you look at ETH, and you also kind of center around other tokens that are going to benefit from this. Uniswap, of course, had some big news, winning their lawsuit now. Plus, we've got Blackrock putting another, $14 trillion in AUM right now in their total assets under management. They're buying Uniswap. So what does Uniswap look like right now in terms of an opportunity? Where would you chart Uniswap?
Yeah, I mean, anything that drops really dramatically can have extremely high bounces, but take a look. I mean, I think it was good news. I don't want to belittle the Blackrock news because that is good long-term news. It's showing BlackRock is interested, but take a look as I zoom kind of out here on the daily chart. The big news happened right here, and look at that nasty wick to the downside. It popped up with a lot of excitement and immediately dropped back down to the same level it had been that whole day. So what does this tell me? It tells me there's some fantastic stuff coming, but Uniswap is not ready just yet. When you look at the charts, it's just still abysmal. It's down low. I don't think the bottom's in for Bitcoin, and I'm going to be very surprised if most altcoins don't follow Bitcoin down with its next leg as well. But again, I see this as a testing the water. We're kind of finding out what's in here, maybe get a little bit of exit liquidity as we're figuring out. I think we're closer to the bottom than the top, but Uniswap is far from in a position right now that I would say is looking healthy and great. That being said, can't get a whole lot worse. So if you're looking at, like, if you're saying, can I buy right now for the next 3 months, 5 months? I don't know how much money you're going to make here. But if you're saying, I believe in Uniswap because BlackRock believes in Uniswap and I want to buy for the next 5, 10, 15 years, heck, fantastic spot to start DCAing. Yeah,
for sure. I was looking at this scoop from Brecca Stoll, and she was basically going through the list on the potential here around the Trump administration tapping a lot of these CEOs. Obviously, you got Hayden Adams there with Uniswap. You got Coinbase in here, along with just a slew of people that I think many of you will recognize. There's Garlinghouse of Ripple. Of course, this means, I think what's going to happen on this, and I tweeted about this, I think you got to watch for the alphas in this list of who is going to end up controlling this administration's advisory committee, so to speak, because I think that will end up having a lot of narrative going into DC. The way that it works there in DC is they start listening to a lot of these CEOs, because in many cases they're owned. There's Sergey right there of Chainlink, also on the list. DraftKings was in here, Kraken was in here, Robinhood's in here, Gemini, Solana. So, I mean, it is the best of the best. I really do think that. So this in itself, I think, does show there's a positive movement in DC. It's just a matter of time. I think, to your point, they already know what they have in terms of the Clarity Act. It's just the timing issue that is playing into this right now.
Well, and it's perfect right now. Again, if you didn't look at a chart right now, Paul, and you just guessed about how crypto prices have been trending, you would think crypto is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah,
and yet, some altcoins are at all-time lows. What does that mean? What does that symbolize? It means that the institutions have us exactly where they want us. Crypto has never been stronger, never been better positioned for the future, and yet prices are in the toilet. Amazing for their buys. They know they're not competing with retail. It's a dream come true for them.
I'm looking at Robinhood. They've made a ton of announcements this week, including their testnet, which means this is gonna open up a whole ton of apps that are gonna be developed out there. You've got that going on. They've also got a whole slew of extensions that are moving into this in terms of just different unique assets that'll make its way onto the Robinhood platform, especially as they start to accelerate into this. Even if you look at what they're doing with Vault. So this sounds to me like Robinhood has really come loaded for bear. I think they're going head to head with Coinbase, or possibly they were even worried about something that Jimmy's doing over with Mr. Beast. I don't know, but the point being, where would Robinhood be in terms of the stock? Because this has been a stock that has had some fairly good acceleration over the past 18 months. What do you think about Robinhood right now?
Oh yeah, I'm a buyer of Robinhood. I have a target here. I've actually been looking at this target since way back here. Let me change this so I don't know the date because I don't remember the exact date. We broke below this trending support level back here January 20th, right? So I told our community I would love to get a buy back down here, just around $65, give or take. We're well on our way. You can see the weekly chart, very low, but still some meat on the bones for the RSI to drop. There are some reversal indicators starting to pop up, but nothing saying buy just yet. The daily chart has a little buy, but just like the rest of the crypto markets, we might see a little bit of a lower high and then drop back down. I still think with Robinhood, we could get a good scoop somewhere between $65 to $58 is my zone for the next buy. After that, I definitely think we can have a nice pop to the upside and hit new all-time highs as prices start to increase and more trading starts to happen.
Well, it's also interesting to me that we haven't seen the bank app launch. At the same time, you've got Clarity kind of in the middle ground. I'm just wondering if once Clarity goes through, does Robinhood just start dropping product after product after product to kind of seize the moment around what's going on with crypto? Obviously, they're one of their biggest profit centers. Another note right here is Robinhood app is launching their public testnet, and they're partnering, of course, with Chainlink. So this is good. I know you love Chainlink. But when you look at Chainlink's chart, it tells me a different story. So tell me where you think Chainlink is heading from here.
Yeah, just put out, it's funny because it was probably, I thought this video was going to get so many more views than it got. Clearly right now, nobody's interested. I put out an updated Chainlink price prediction. Interestingly though, it's not a prediction of the upside. Everyone's talking about, what's Tim's prediction of the upside? I still think someday the $200, $400, $700 levels I've talked about in the past will happen. When, I have no idea. This price prediction was a move to the downside. Again, fundamentals are downstream. Sorry, price is downstream of fundamentals. But right now, there's just not this eagerness to scoop it back up. I think with a Bitcoin move towards 53,000, I think we could see a $6.55, $6.50 Chainlink in the next couple of weeks, next month or two, before the Clarity Act bill passes. There's a small chance we end up tying the bottom. I would keep an eye open, maybe have what you would call like a angel buy at about 492 to match the bottoms of the bear market. But I think 650 to me is a very interesting spot to keep an eye on. Even when you take a look at the link over Bitcoin chart, right? This is a chart that's continued to go down, but we've talked about it other places in this video. Falling wedge patterns. When they break bullish and they go very high. You can see here we're very close again to that support level, drop a little bit more, bottom out on Chainlink versus Bitcoin, and then we can have a big move to the upside afterwards. But to me, I think you're still watching that 650 zone. I'm DCAing in right now, so if someone's like, Tim, does that mean you're not buying Chainlink? Heck no. I'm scooping as much Chainlink as I can responsibly with a DCA strategy, and I have a buy order at 655 waiting to enact. I understand that Chainlink for me is a tradable thing right now, but long term, I still think people are going to call me a clown. People are going to say what they want. I still think when the dust settles in the next bull run, people who do not engage and get into Chainlink early are going to seriously regret it. I can't think of an altcoin right now more connected, which has better news and will be more important for the furthering of real world assets than Chainlink. They're with everybody. They're involved in everything going on. I would invest as much as possible when you can, but that's not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah, well, you've got the partnership with ONDO, which adopted Chainlink, obviously as its official data oracle, so that would in itself is good. What about ONDO? Are you going on this token? I know you were a player on ONDO in the past. Or would you buy it today?
Yeah, I still believe in ONDO long term. Is the price action good? No. I thought there was a good chance that we'd have some form of a bounce here. Got that one wrong. Had some stop losses put into place. Got out of my ONDO positions. I haven't really dug into, you're getting down into almost price low discovery here with ONDO. I'll just go ahead and say it though. Like, I don't see ONDO not going further to the downside. So my guess is you'll have a shot to buy ONDO back at or deeper than 20 cents.
Wow.
At this point though, fundamentally, I'm still on board with it. I know we had that conversation, I think last week or the week before. There are some interesting competitors to ONDO. I by no means have the same amount of conviction in ONDO as I do like Chainlink or Solana or Ethereum. But ONDO's still in what I would call my tier 2 list of cryptos to be acquiring this low. Because I still think there's a big player in the real world asset space. Until proven otherwise, I still think they have a bright future. But I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not as excited about ONDO as I am some other tokens.
Tim, Hyperliquid, this was a note that they're making more money than Coinbase right now. If you look on a profit per employee right there, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe there are traders out there considering Coinbase on the stock market, or do you go in and buy the Hype token over for Hyperliquid? What would be the trade here?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's two ways of thinking about it. Number one, you could say, do I want a longer term investment with something I believe in long term, but extremely overvalued? Or do I want the thing that looks like it has momentum right now? And I think you could make an argument. Your shorter time horizons, you're going with Hype. Longer term horizons, maybe you're looking at Base. Look at the Hype chart right here. I'm on the weekly chart, so it doesn't have a whole lot of candles. But name me another cryptocurrency out there
that's doing that
isn't at or below the lows of April. I mean, this is significantly higher here. It looks like we're actually starting a little bit of an uptrend right now on this chart. I mean, I actually haven't done a whole lot of analysis here. Yeah, there's not a lot to deal with on the weekly chart, but it looks like there's some little itty bitty buy signals kind of popping in there. Let's go to the daily chart here. Looks like a fresh buy signal coming in on the daily chart as well here for Hype. So shorter term, clearly this is the one with momentum. I mean, it had its own slump from September down to here, but this slump just is not as significant or as brutal as the rest of the crypto space. By the way, I mean, look at the daily chart. You couldn't see this on weekly. Maybe a little bit of a flag or a pennant kind of starting to form here that could have a much bigger move to the upside when it's all said and done. Flagpole, big move up. I would say shorter term, I'm putting my money here in Hype, but I'm still buying some coin stock long term because I still believe Coinbase and Brian Armstrong are a massive part of the future of the evolution of crypto and banks coming together and servicing things together. Again, going back to the story we talked about earlier, The battle right now, the war is between Brian Armstrong and the banks. That's what they want you to believe. I think Brian Armstrong and Coinbase want to become a bank themselves, just a digital bank, not one with a physical location. I think they have a very bright future. I think he's closer friends with the banks than they want us to believe.
Interesting. Okay. Well, many people have said that. I've heard this quite a bit in my DMs is that Coinbase may be playing the entire market right now because they already have a plan going forward to coordinate. And even I think they were the ones that floated that idea of partnering with regional banks to secure up USDC. Remember, USDC, Circle, Coinbase, all the perfect trifecta there. One other thing that I think is a competitor to that in terms of where DeFi is heading, and that's AAVE. Here was Stanley talking about a new framework around the DAO. They're talking about expanding this to where AAVE's DAO revenue is going to be basically protocol revenue that's establishing into maybe the future of where this is going. So a lot of this has been settled. They're going to be voting on it here soon. This could be good for AAVE. And if you think about it, there's rumors out there even that you could see new asset classes coming out of the SEC that could be pointing in this direction. What about AAVE? What about that token right now?
Yeah, I mean, the chart shows a clearly strong downtrend. There is a little bit of a weekly buy signal coming in that you're not going to see on a lot of other indicators. Now, I'm waiting for some confirmation. I know there's a lot of mess on my chart at the moment. I'm looking at my most aggressive indicator. That green dot right there, we need to see how the week closes, but that green dot, along with some reversals and a pink histogram from MACD, could be a good positive sign that the momentum's just getting started here for AAVE. There's a lot of ground to make up. I mean, here's one that is already below the April lows of 25. I would say to get bullish again, you're probably looking, forget the October 10th wick, probably need to get above this wick right here of $143. If we stay below 143, we could just keep this train going to lower lows. If we break above it, though, that little glitch happened. If we can break above this and get above 143, all of a sudden you might feel better. I still think you have a dip. If crypto dips, you're dipping, but maybe AAVE is one that puts in a higher low on its way back to the upside.
Let's talk about X stocks right now because this flows us into Solana. And right now, yield on tokenized equities, you can get that. We talked about this the other day, up to 13%, up to 3.5 exposure on their multiplier. This is a big deal for X stocks. Of course, Solana is the cornerstone of this. When you look at Solana right now, what do you think we're going to see right there? There's the Camino Finance dashboard kind of showing you some of the opportunities. But when you look at the Solana chart, how do you feel like this can play in? Solana has been one of the best tokens out there, and it's starting to struggle under $100 now.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the crypto space right now where there's not really a whole lot of winners, okay? Traders love it. You can do a lot with the trading, but again, another chart just like Ethereum, Bitcoin, others, this is just a very strong bear trend. When we lost this green line of support, we were able to short this in my community. Same thing going on. Unless we can get back above, I'd say $117, get back above this green line here. If you can make a move on Solana up here, bottom's probably in. Probably would still see a higher low, but again, I think the bottom's in. Anything that we close below that, I think there's a good chance we drop to the downside. And the prices I'm looking at, I told my group, my community, I'm watching this golden pocket right here, back to support levels we had back in November of 23. I think at this point, I didn't want to see it go below $100, but I'm just trading the charts. I'm trading the markets I have, not the ones I want. I think $50 on Solana is very much still in the cards.
Okay, so I'm going to go the other way, and the only reason that I feel that this is the factor is the narrative on this. When you look at people wanting to gain yield on tokenized equities, I think that plays into an opportunity here. And remember, too, Tim, tokenized equities, people are just getting into it. Once that we truly have some framework and they understand it, I think that we are going to see an absolute rush into tokenized equities. And X stocks is going to be the center of this. Yield, of course, is going to be generated here. I think Solana gets a little bit of a lift. Yeah, Tim, this is going to be a big week ahead. Likelihood is we're going to hear some news on clarity, more pressure on the Fed. This, I think, because of what we're seeing with the CPI news. We'll talk about that next week, but we definitely want to get you back soon. So thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Paul.
If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.